A dying billionaire sat alone on Christmas, surrounded by everything money could buy, but she had no one to share it with. Then a little girl walked up to her table and whispered 7 words that would change 3 lives forever. Nobody should be alone on Christmas. What happened next will make you believe in miracles again. But before we start, let me ask you, when was the last time a stranger changed your life? Drop your answer in the comments, and please, stay until the end. Because this story, it's going to remind you what really matters in life. Trust me, you need to hear this. Welcome to Voice of Granny. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. Let me tell you about a night that changed 3 lives forever. It happened in Seattle, on a cold Christmas evening when the snow was falling like tiny pieces of heaven. Picture this. An elegant restaurant called the Silver Pine. Warm lights. Families laughing. Children running between tables with that pure Christmas joy only kids can have. And in the middle of all that happiness, sitting alone at a corner table, was a woman named Victoria Hayes. Victoria was 70 years old. She had white hair pulled back perfectly, an expensive black dress that hung loose on her thin body. And she sat there in her wheelchair, staring at a plate of salmon that had gone cold 20 minutes ago. Now, you might be wondering, who is Victoria Hayes? Well, she used to be one of the most powerful women in Seattle. She built Hayes Technology from nothing. Started in her garage with 1 computer and a dream. Grew it into a company worth billions. Everyone knew her name. Everyone respected her success. But here's the thing about success. It doesn't keep you warm at night. It doesn't sit across from you at dinner. It doesn't call you on Christmas. 5 years ago, Victoria's husband Robert died in a terrible accident. A drunk driver. One moment they were driving home from a charity event, laughing about something silly. The next moment, everything changed. Robert was gone. And Victoria? She survived, but she couldn't walk anymore. The accident took her husband and her legs in one cruel night. Since then, she'd been alone. Her daughter Ashley lived in London with her new family. Too busy to visit. Too caught up in her own life to remember that her mother was sitting in an empty penthouse, waiting for a phone call that never came. Victoria looked around the restaurant. Saw a mother cutting turkey for her little boy. Saw a father making funny faces while his daughters giggled. Saw couples holding hands across candlelit tables. And she felt something break inside her chest. Her phone sat on the table. No messages. Ashley had sent a text that morning. "Merry Christmas, Mom. Sorry we can't make it this year. Love you." The same message as last year. And the year before that. A tear rolled down Victoria's cheek. She tried to wipe it away quickly, hoping nobody would see. An old woman crying in public. How pathetic, she thought. "Excuse me, ma'am?" Victoria looked up. Standing next to her table was a little girl. Maybe 7 years old. Big brown eyes. Hair in 2 messy ponytails. Wearing a pink sweater with a reindeer on it that had seen better days. "Are you okay?" the girl asked. Her voice was soft but serious. Like she really wanted to know. "I'm fine, sweetheart," Victoria said, trying to smile. "Thank you for asking." "You're crying," the girl said. "Not mean. Just honest, the way kids are. Why are you sad?" "It's Christmas." Nobody should be sad on Christmas. Before Victoria could answer, a young woman rushed over. Early 30s, wearing a server's uniform with a name tag that said Sarah. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a ponytail. Her face was tired but kind. "Lily, honey, what did I tell you about bothering the customers?" Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. She looked at Victoria with apologetic eyes. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. She's supposed to be sitting in the back waiting for my shift to end." "It's okay," Victoria heard herself say. "She's not bothering me." But Lily wasn't listening to either of them. She was reaching into her pocket, pulling out something wrapped in crumpled napkins. She held it out to Victoria with both hands, like it was something precious. "I made this for my mommy," Lily said. "But I think you need it more." Victoria took it with shaking hands. Inside the napkins was a drawing. Done in crayons on the back of a paper placemat. 3 stick figures holding hands. A tall one, a small one, and in the middle, a faded one that looked like it was disappearing. At the bottom, in crooked letters, Lily had written, "Family is love. Merry Christmas." Victoria stared at that drawing, and something inside her that had been frozen for 5 years suddenly cracked open. "The middle person is my daddy," Lily said quietly. "He died when I was little. But Mommy says he's still with us in our hearts." Victoria looked up at Sarah, saw the grief in her eyes. The same grief Victoria carried every single day. The kind that never really leaves. It just becomes part of who you are. I'm so sorry, Victoria whispered. Sarah nodded, her throat working. Thank you. Come on, Lily. Let's let this nice lady enjoy her dinner. But she's not enjoying it, Lily said, with that brutal honesty that only children have. She hasn't eaten anything. And she's all alone. Lily looked up at her mother with such determination. Such pure certainty that something needed to be done. Nobody should eat alone on Christmas, Lily declared. And Victoria, looking at this tired waitress and her beautiful daughter, felt something she hadn't felt in 5 years. She felt hope. Would you join me? Victoria asked. The words came out before she could stop them. Please. I have too much food, and I would really love the company. Sarah's eyes went wide. Oh, we couldn't. I'm still working, Anne. When does your shift end? Victoria asked. In 10 minutes, but... Then sit with me after. Please. Victoria's voice cracked. It would mean everything to me. Lily was already climbing into the chair across from Victoria, her face lit up like a Christmas tree. Sarah looked at her daughter, then at Victoria. And in that moment, she understood. This wasn't just about dinner. This was about 3 people who needed each other, even if they didn't know it yet. Okay, Sarah said softly. Thank you. That's very kind. And just like that, the loneliest night of Victoria's life became something else entirely. 10 minutes later, Sarah returned to the table. She'd changed out of her server uniform into jeans and a worn blue sweater. She looked nervous, like she didn't quite belong in this fancy restaurant as a guest instead of staff. Victoria had already ordered more food. Chicken strips for Lily. A proper meal for Sarah. And she'd asked them to warm up her salmon, which she was actually hungry for now. So, Victoria said as they settled in. Tell me about yourselves. Sarah glanced at Lily, then back at Victoria. Well, I'm Sarah Bennett. This is my daughter, Lily. We live here in Seattle. I work here at the Silver Pine, mostly evening shifts. And I go to Franklin Elementary, Lily added proudly. I'm in 2nd grade. I can read chapter books now. That's wonderful, Victoria said, and she meant it. When was the last time she'd talked to a child? Really talked, not just polite hellos at charity events. As they ate, the story came out slowly. Sarah's husband David had been a firefighter. Died 4 years ago saving people from a burning building. A hero, everyone said. But Sarah would have rather had a living husband than a dead hero. The life insurance helped for a while. But Seattle was expensive. Medical bills from David's funeral, from Lily's asthma treatments, from just trying to survive. It all added up. Sarah worked double shifts when she could. Lily spent a lot of time in the restaurant's back room, doing homework and drawing pictures while her mom worked. It's not ideal, Sarah said quietly, stirring her coffee. But we're managing. And Lily's a trooper. Aren't you, baby? Lily nodded, her mouth full of chicken strips. Victoria listened and felt shame wash over her. Here she was, with more money than she could spend in 3 lifetimes, living alone in a penthouse, feeling sorry for herself. And here was Sarah, working herself to exhaustion, raising a daughter alone, and still managing to smile. What about you? Sarah asked. Do you have family here? Victoria chose her words carefully. I have a daughter, Ashley. She lives in London now with her husband and children. She paused. We're not close. That's my fault. I spent her childhood building my business instead of being there for her. What kind of business? Lily asked. Technology, Victoria said. Computers, software, apps. Things like that. Are you rich? Lily asked. Kids. Always asking the questions adults are too polite to ask. Lily. Sarah's face went red. It's okay, Victoria said, smiling. Yes, honey. I'm wealthy. But you know what? Money doesn't buy the things that really matter. Like what? Lily asked. Victoria looked at Sarah and Lily sitting across from her. Looked at the drawing Lily had given her. Like this, she said softly. Like people who care. Like someone asking if you're okay when you're crying. Like not being alone on Christmas. Lily smiled. That's what I said. They talked for over an hour. Victoria found herself sharing things she hadn't spoken about in years. About Robert. About the accident. About learning to live in a wheelchair. About the emptiness of her big apartment. Sarah shared too. About David's last day. About trying to explain to a 3-year-old that Daddy wasn't coming home. About the nights when she cried in the shower so Lily wouldn't hear. Some days are harder than others, Sarah said. But then Lily does something sweet or says something funny, and I remember why I keep going. You're a good mother, Victoria said. You're there for her. That's what matters. I try, Sarah said. But sometimes I feel like I'm failing. Like she deserves better than a mom who's always exhausted, always working. She has a mom who loves her, Victoria said firmly. Trust me, that's everything. As the evening wore on, Victoria watched Sarah and Lily together. The way Sarah cut Lily's food without thinking. The way Lily leaned against her mother's shoulder. The way they had little jokes and shared looks that came from knowing each other completely. This is what she'd missed with Ashley. This closeness. This connection. She'd been too busy acquiring companies to attend dance recitals. Too focused on board meetings to help with homework. Too important to just be present. And now Ashley was gone, living her own life, and Victoria was alone with her regrets and her money. Can I ask you something? Victoria said to Sarah. Of course. Are you happy? Working here, I mean. Is this what you want to do? Sarah was quiet for a moment. Honestly? No. I wanted to be a teacher. I was studying education before I met David. But then we got married, had Lily, and life just happened. After David died, I needed a job quickly. The restaurant was hiring. It pays the bills. But it's not your dream. No, Sarah admitted. But sometimes we don't get to live our dreams. Sometimes we just survive. Victoria nodded slowly. An idea was forming in her mind. A crazy, impulsive idea. But then again, 5 years of careful planning and safe choices had left her miserable and alone. Maybe it was time to be impulsive. What if I told you, Victoria said carefully, that you could have a different job, one that paid better, one where you could be home with Lily more? Sarah frowned. What do you mean? Work for me, Victoria said. I need someone to manage the charitable foundation side of my company. Someone who understands what it's like to struggle. Someone with a good heart. Sarah's eyes went wide. Mrs. Hayes, I can't. I don't have any experience with that kind of work. Neither did I when I started my company, Victoria said. But you know what I did have? Determination. Heart. The ability to see what people need. You have all of that. Sarah shook her head. I appreciate the offer, but I can't accept charity. It's not charity, Victoria said firmly. It's a job. You'd work for it. But you'd be paid fairly, have benefits, have normal hours so you can actually see your daughter. She leaned forward. Sarah, let me be honest. I've been alone for 5 years. Tonight, for the first time, I feel alive again. You and Lily did that. Let me give something back. Sarah sat in silence, her coffee getting cold. Lily had fallen asleep against her shoulder, worn out from the excitement of the evening. The restaurant was nearly empty now. Just a few late diners lingering over dessert. Why would you do this for us? Sarah finally asked. You don't even know us. Victoria smiled sadly. That's exactly why. Because you saw me. Really saw me. Most people look right through me now. They see an old woman in a wheelchair, and they feel uncomfortable. They look away. But Lily walked right up and asked if I was okay. She touched the drawing Lily had given her. And because I've spent 5 years realizing that I did everything wrong. I built an empire but lost my family. I have everything money can buy and nothing that actually matters. Sarah's eyes were bright with unshed tears. Let me do something right, Victoria continued. Let me help someone who deserves it. Please. I need to think about it, Sarah whispered. Of course. Take all the time you need. Victoria pulled out a business card and wrote something on the back. This is my personal number. Call me when you decide. Sarah took the card with shaking hands. Thank you. For dinner. For everything. They gathered their things. Sarah lifted Lily carefully, the little girl's head resting on her mother's shoulder. As they walked toward the door, Lily woke up slightly. Bye, Grandma Victoria, she mumbled. Victoria felt her heart squeeze. Goodbye, sweetheart. After they left, Victoria sat alone at the table for a long time. The restaurant staff was cleaning up around her, but nobody rushed her. She held Lily's drawing and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Purpose. 3 days later, her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Mrs. Hayes? It's Sarah. Sarah Bennett. Victoria sat up straighter in her wheelchair. Sarah, I'm so glad you called. I've been thinking about your offer. Sarah's voice was nervous. And I want to accept. If you're still serious. Completely serious. But I have conditions, Sarah said, sounding braver now. I need to really work for this. Not just show up and collect a paycheck. If I can't do the job well, you have to tell me. Deal, Victoria said, smiling. When can you start? The restaurant needs 2 weeks' notice. Perfect. That gives me time to set everything up. Victoria paused. Sarah, you won't regret this. I hope not, Sarah said quietly. Because I'm terrified. Good. That means it matters to you. Those 2 weeks flew by. Victoria threw herself into preparation. She created a real position, not just a made-up job. Her technology company had millions in charitable grants to distribute each year. Someone needed to evaluate applications, visit organizations, make recommendations. It was important work. Work that could change lives. She had her assistant prepare an office. Not too fancy, but comfortable. With a window overlooking the city. And a small adjacent room that could be a play area for Lily when needed. On Sarah's first day, Victoria waited nervously in the lobby. She'd come down from her penthouse office, specifically to greet her. Sarah arrived wearing a professional dress that Victoria suspected she'd bought at a thrift store. It was slightly outdated but clean and pressed. Her hair was pulled back. She held Lily's hand tight. Ready? Victoria asked. Sarah took a deep breath. Ready. The first few weeks were hard. Sarah had to learn everything. How to evaluate grant applications. How to speak with nonprofit directors. How to manage budgets and timelines. She worked long hours, often staying late after Lily fell asleep in the play area. But she was good at it. Really good. She understood what people needed because she'd been there herself. When a women's shelter applied for funding, Sarah knew exactly what questions to ask because she'd almost ended up in one after David died. When a food bank needed help, Sarah remembered the months when she'd relied on them to feed Lily. Victoria watched her flourish. Watched her confidence grow. Watched her become the person she was meant to be. But not everyone was happy about it. Victoria's business partner, a man named Harold Drummond, had been with the company since the beginning. He was 65, traditional, and he didn't like changes he hadn't approved. One day, he cornered Victoria in her office. What's this I hear about you hiring some waitress to run the foundation? His voice was cold. Her name is Sarah Bennett, and she's doing excellent work. She has no qualifications, Victoria. No degree, no experience. She has something better. She has empathy. She understands the people we're trying to help. Harold's face reddened. This is a business, not a charity case. The board is concerned. They think you're making emotional decisions. The board works for me, Victoria said sharply. For now, Harold said. But Victoria, everyone's noticed you're not well. The hospital visits. The weakness. Maybe it's time to step back. Victoria felt ice in her veins. Are you trying to push me out, Harold? I'm trying to protect the company we built together. His voice softened slightly. I care about you, Victoria. But this woman, this Sarah, she's taking advantage of your loneliness. Get out, Victoria said quietly. Victoria, get out of my office. Now. Harold left. But Victoria sat there shaking. Because he wasn't completely wrong. She was sick. The cancer diagnosis had come 2 months ago. Stage 3. Treatable, but no guarantees. She hadn't told anyone. Not Ashley. Not Sarah. She was handling it alone, like she handled everything. But Harold was wrong about Sarah. Sarah wasn't taking advantage. Sarah was the best thing that had happened to Victoria in years. That evening, Victoria went to Sarah's office. Found her there late as usual, Lily asleep in the play area, Sarah reviewing grant applications with intense focus. You work too hard, Victoria said from the doorway. Sarah jumped, then smiled. Look who's talking. You're here late too. Can we talk? Something in Victoria's voice made Sarah's smile fade. Of course. What's wrong? Victoria wheeled into the office and closed the door. I need to tell you something. Victoria took a deep breath. Saying it out loud would make it real, and she'd been avoiding real for 2 months now. I have cancer, she said simply. Pancreatic. Stage 3. Sarah's face went white. Oh, Victoria. I'm getting treatment. The doctors are optimistic. But it's serious. Victoria looked down at her hands. Harold thinks I'm making bad decisions because I'm sick. That I hired you because I'm lonely and desperate. Is that true? Sarah asked quietly. Victoria looked up, surprised. What? Did you hire me because you're lonely? I hired you because you're capable and compassionate. Victoria's voice was firm. But yes, Sarah. You and Lily have made me less lonely. You've given me a reason to keep fighting. Is that wrong? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, When David died, I thought my life was over. I couldn't imagine going on without him. But I had Lily and she needed me, so I kept going. Even on the days when I didn't want to. She met Victoria's eyes. You're not taking advantage of me, Victoria. You gave me a chance when nobody else would. You saw something in me that I'd forgotten was there. So no, it's not wrong that we help each other. That's what people do. Victoria felt tears spill down her cheeks. I'm scared, Sarah. I don't want to die alone like I've been living. Sarah got up and came around the desk. She knelt beside Victoria's wheelchair and took her hands. You're not alone, she said firmly. You have me. You have Lily. You have people who care about you. Do I? Victoria whispered. Ashley hasn't called in months. I drove away everyone who ever mattered. Then let new people matter, Sarah said. It's not too late, Victoria. It's never too late. From the play area came a small voice. Mommy. Lily appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. She'd been listening. Grandma Victoria is sick? She asked. Victoria opened her mouth to say something reassuring, but Lily had already crossed the room. She climbed into Victoria's lap, something she'd started doing over the past few weeks. When my daddy got sick, Lily said seriously, Mommy said we had to give him extra love. To help him fight. She wrapped her small arms around Victoria's neck. So we'll give you extra love too. Okay. Victoria held this child who wasn't hers, but felt like hers and sobbed. All the fear and loneliness and grief she'd been holding inside came pouring out. Sarah wrapped her arms around both of them. 3 broken people holding each other together. Later that night, after Sarah and Lily had gone home, Victoria did something she hadn't done in over a year. She called her daughter. Ashley answered on the 4th ring. Mom, is everything okay? Just hearing her daughter's voice made Victoria's throat tight. No, sweetheart. It's not. She told Ashley everything. The cancer. The treatment. The fear. And then she said the words she should have said years ago. I'm sorry, Ashley. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you when you were growing up. I'm sorry I chose work over you. I'm sorry I was a terrible mother. Silence on the other end. Then, Mom. Let me finish, Victoria said. I can't change the past. But I want to do better now. If it's not too late. I miss you. I love you. And I'm asking if you can forgive me. More silence. Victoria held her breath. Mom, Ashley said finally, her voice thick with tears. I've been waiting years to hear you say that. They talked for 2 hours. Really talked, like they hadn't since Ashley was a little girl. About hurt feelings and missed moments, and the wall that had built up between them brick by brick over the years. I want to come home, Ashley said. Not just to visit. To really be there. The kids need to know their grandmother. I'd like that, Victoria whispered. I'd like that very much. Over the next few months, everything changed. Ashley moved back to Seattle with her family. She and Sarah became friends, bonded over the challenges of motherhood and the weirdness of Victoria's sudden transformation into everyone's grandmother. Victoria continued her treatment. Some days were good. Some days were hard. But she was never alone. Sarah brought her soup when she was too sick to eat. Lily drew pictures to cheer her up. Ashley sat with her during chemotherapy, holding her hand like Victoria had held hers years ago during childhood nightmares. The charity foundation flourished under Sarah's leadership. She had a gift for seeing what organizations truly needed and connecting them with resources. Under her guidance, they funded 3 new shelters, 2 food banks, and a program that helped single mothers get job training. You're a natural at this, Victoria told her one day. Sarah smiled. I finally feel like I'm making a difference. Like David would be proud. He would be, Victoria said. I'm proud of you. But Harold Drummond wasn't done fighting. 6 months after Victoria's diagnosis, he called an emergency board meeting. Victoria wasn't invited. She found out from her assistant. They're voting on whether to remove you as CEO, the assistant said nervously. Harold says you're not mentally competent to make decisions anymore. Victoria felt rage and fear mix in her chest. She'd built this company from nothing. And now Harold wanted to take it away because she was sick? Sarah found her in her office, staring out the window at the Seattle skyline. I heard, Sarah said quietly. What are you going to do? Victoria turned her wheelchair to face Sarah. I'm going to fight. I'm going to that board meeting, and I'm going to remind them who built this company. Good, Sarah said. And I'm coming with you. Sarah, you don't have to. Yes, I do. You fought for me when nobody else would. Now I fight for you. The boardroom was cold and formal. 12 people sat around a massive table. All of them in expensive suits. All of them looking uncomfortable when Victoria wheeled herself in, with Sarah walking beside her and Ashley on her other side. Harold stood at the head of the table. Victoria, this is a closed meeting. It's my company, Victoria said. Nothing is closed to me. She positioned her wheelchair at the table. Sarah and Ashley sat on either side of her. Let's make this quick, Harold said. The board has concerns about your recent decisions. Hiring unqualified staff. Making emotional rather than business-minded choices. We believe it's time for you to step down as CEO and focus on your health. Unqualified staff, Victoria repeated. You mean Sarah? I mean the waitress you hired to run a multi-million-dollar foundation with no credentials whatsoever. Harold's voice was cold. Sarah started to speak, but Victoria held up her hand. Sarah Bennett has done more for this company's reputation in 6 months than you've done in 30 years, Harold. Victoria's voice was steel. Under her leadership, we've helped hundreds of people. Real people with real needs. Our charitable work actually means something now. That's not the point. Then what is the point? Victoria demanded. That she doesn't have a fancy degree? That she learned through living instead of sitting in classrooms. She looked around the table. I started this company in my garage with nothing but an idea and determination. None of you would have hired me either, based on credentials alone. But I proved myself through work. That's what Sarah's doing. One of the board members, a woman named Patricia, spoke up. With respect, Victoria, this isn't just about Sarah. It's about your health. We're worried about you. Victoria softened slightly. I appreciate that, Patricia. I do. But I'm not incapacitated. I'm still capable of making sound decisions. Are you? Harold challenged. Because from where I'm sitting, you've become emotionally compromised. You're treating employees like family, making decisions based on feelings rather than facts. Ashley stood up abruptly. How dare you? Everyone stared at her. My mother built this company by working 80-hour weeks and sacrificing everything, including her family. Ashley's voice shook with emotion. She made billions for all of you. And now that she's sick, now that she's finally learning to value people over profit, you want to push her out. Ashley, Harold started. No, you listen to me. My mother is the smartest, strongest person I know. And yes, she's different now. She's kinder. She's more compassionate. She's finally the person I always wished she could be. Ashley's eyes were bright with tears. If that makes her unfit to lead, then your company isn't worth leading. Victoria reached up and squeezed her daughter's hand. Sarah stood up too. I know I'm the problem here. So I'll resign. I don't want to be the reason Victoria loses everything she built. No, Victoria said sharply. You're not resigning. You're not the problem, Sarah. You're the solution. She looked around the table. All of you listen to me. I'm 70 years old. I have cancer. I'm in a wheelchair. And yes, I'm different than I used to be. Victoria's voice grew stronger. I spent 50 years building wealth and losing everything that mattered. I missed my daughter's childhood. I barely knew my husband at the end because I was always working. I had no friends, no real connections, nothing but money and success. She gestured to Sarah and Ashley. And then these two came into my life and showed me what I'd been missing. Family, connection, love, the things that actually matter. So yes, I'm making different decisions now. I'm hiring people with heart instead of just credentials. I'm using our resources to help people who need it. I'm choosing compassion over cold business strategy. Victoria's eyes were fierce. And if that makes me unfit to lead, then go ahead and vote me out. But I won't apologize for finally getting it right. Silence filled the room. Then Patricia spoke. I move that we table this discussion indefinitely. Another board member nodded. Seconded. What? Harold looked around in disbelief. You can't be serious. I am serious, Patricia said. Victoria built this company. She's earned the right to run it however she sees fit. And frankly, Harold, I think she's making better decisions now than she ever did before. The vote was taken. 10-2 in favor of keeping Victoria as CEO. Harold's face went red. He gathered his papers and stood up. Then I resign. I won't be part of this circus. Your resignation is accepted, Victoria said calmly. Good luck, Harold. He stormed out. When the room cleared, Victoria sat there with Sarah and Ashley, all three of them slightly stunned. Did that really just happen? Sarah asked. I think it did, Ashley said, starting to laugh. Victoria laughed too. And then they were all laughing, the tension breaking into pure relief and joy. That Christmas, exactly 1 year after Victoria first met Sarah and Lily, they all gathered in Victoria's penthouse. Ashley and her family. Sarah and Lily. A few other friends they'd collected along the way. Victoria was weaker now. The cancer was winning slowly but surely. But she was happy. Truly, deeply happy. Lily climbed into her lap, careful of the medical equipment. "Grandma Victoria, I made you something." It was another drawing. More stick figures this time. Victoria recognized them all. Ashley and her kids. Sarah and Lily. And in the middle, Victoria in her wheelchair. All of them holding hands. "We're a family," Lily said simply. "All of us." Victoria held the drawing to her chest, tears rolling down her face. "Yes, sweetheart. We are." Ashley came and sat on the arm of Victoria's wheelchair. "I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby girl. I'm sorry it took me so long to show it. You're showing it now. That's what matters." Sarah brought over hot chocolate for everyone. As they all settled in to watch Christmas movies, Victoria looked around her living room. It wasn't empty anymore. It was full. Full of laughter and love, and the kind of warmth that no amount of money could buy. She thought about that night 1 year ago. Sitting alone in a restaurant, crying, ready to give up. And then a little girl had walked over and told her that nobody should be alone on Christmas. That little girl had saved her life. Not by doing anything dramatic, but simply by seeing her. By caring. By reminding her that connection was still possible. Victoria died 6 months later, surrounded by everyone she loved. Her last words were to Lily. "Thank you for showing me what really matters." At her funeral, Sarah stood at the podium and told the story. About a lonely woman and a struggling waitress and a little girl who brought them together. "Victoria Hayes changed my life," Sarah said, her voice strong despite her tears. "She gave me a chance when nobody else would. She saw potential in me that I'd forgotten existed. But more than that, she gave Lily and me a family." She looked at Ashley in the front row. "And she taught all of us that it's never too late to change. Never too late to choose love over pride. Never too late to become the person you wish you'd been all along." Years later, Sarah still runs the foundation. It's grown beyond anything Victoria imagined. They've helped thousands of people, given chances to hundreds of others who just needed someone to believe in them. And every Christmas, Sarah and Lily and Ashley and her family gather together. They tell Victoria's story. They remember the woman who learned, in her final years, what really mattered. Family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about choice. About showing up. About seeing someone who's hurting and saying, "You don't have to be alone." Sometimes family is a waitress and her daughter, and a lonely old woman who found each other on Christmas. Sometimes family is love. Pure and simple. That's Victoria's legacy. Not the billions she made or the company she built, but the lives she changed by finally learning to put people first. And if you ask Lily, now a teenager studying to be a teacher like her father wanted, what she remembers most about her grandma Victoria, she'll tell you this. "She taught me that being rich isn't about money. It's about having people who love you. People who show up. People who hold your hand when you're scared." She'll show you a worn piece of paper. A drawing in crayon of stick figures holding hands. "Family is love," she'll say, just like she wrote all those years ago. That's what Grandma Victoria taught me. And that's what I'll teach my kids someday. Because some lessons are worth passing on. Some stories are worth telling. And some Christmas miracles last forever. Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to remember that it's never too late to change. Never too late to choose love, and never too late to find your family. Because nobody should be alone. Not on Christmas. Not ever.